Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. It's been a week, and I'm here. Yeah, are you here, Danny?
I am, although I was just about to push the leave meeting button just to be funny, but I didn't want to do that to you again. So, some jokes wear themselves out, but I'm here. I am also, it's only Tuesday, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready for a break. The week has just been so busy.
Yeah,
But that's good. It's the summer and getting all the things done. And we've had birthday parties, and they're doing like spring or string boot camp for the orchestra and stuff. And then, going to the gym and everything else. It's been,
that'll keep you busy.
busy.
Yeah.
Definitely busy.
I got a little bit of a extenuated like weekend because the brewery were off on Mondays, and so they did like a company kind of event where they paid for all of us to go kayaking. So we did like a 6.5 mile kayaking trip, which was
cool.
a lot of fun. Yeah, like the group picture, I had to go across the river to like take the shot because there's 40 some people easily. Like, I mean, we took over the river. It was a lot of fun. And then the owners smoked ribs, and all kinds of good food was there for after. And it was funny. One of the guys was like, "Who throws a kegger on a Monday?" And it's like a brewery that doesn't open on a Monday.
Right.
Sounds like it's me. So that was a lot of fun. But
nice.
Yeah. So not too bad. It was a good time. But aside from all of that, the countdown to HomeDadCon is getting smaller and smaller, and the excitement is building. We have a speaker on later that we'll introduce, but I think the one thing that we really want to draw attention to everybody is the fact that we have a baseball list of board nominees this year, almost enough to make a team. So
very close.
Very pretty close. Yeah. Because there's like 7 of them, which I'm super excited about because these 7 people, they all bring their own special bit, like their own special, like, I don't know what's the word, like their own little bit of resources and perspective and insight into what they're going to bring to the organization, which is super exciting. But at the same time, gosh darn it, it's going to be hard to vote on 3.
Yeah. And it's 7 people coming in and 3 slots to fill. And I think we've said that before, but we've never had this many. And I love it. I really feel like this is a part of how the organization has been growing. Over the last year, not just in membership or things like that, but has been growing into a community where people see, I would like to be more involved with that.
So this year especially, it seems like, all the names on here, these are people that have stepped up in different ways over the past couple of years and just really taken a hold of things that they like. And we could do these all in height order, I was thinking, but we won't. So anyway, I'm going to start at the bottom of your list and work my way up. But we've got Kyle Denny, and Kyle actually was a nominee last year. So excited to see him back again. Dale you pronounce his last name because I can't.
Van Valera.
Van Valera. Okay. Dale Van Valera, who I know has stepped up recently to kind of oversee kind of watching over social media for us in the fashion of just sharing and liking things and really just kind of helping push the presence of us on social media.
He's our volunteer coordinator too.
And he's that too,
which is a slot that's actually very valuable for an organization like ours.
Yes, so, super important.
He's been doing well.
So Chris Griffin is another person. I only know Chris from talking to him a little bit in the Dad Lounge. I haven't really had a chance to get to know him outside of that. But I know that he is definitely gotten involved just with the Dad Lounge on a regular basis. I don't know if he's doing. Is
in
he
the
with?
book club?
He's in the book club. Okay, so he's a part of
That's
the
what
book
I've heard.
club. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, I have seen him talk about that with Kyle and some other folks in Discord and stuff. So Joshua Bernstein's on here, and Joshua is he's basically taken over my role as social media coordinator, director, whatever you want to do. He's done an amazing job posting for us and just also building the newsletter every month. So I was excited to see him jump into this nomination board. Yeah.
So good.
Paul Gordon. That one was a surprise to me. I think that when someone came up and was like, oh yeah, by the way, I talked to Paul, and I'm excited though, because Paul has gotten he's been involved with the organization, but he got really involved with the beer share and so he's coming in with just a lot of experience with being able to work with different organizations.
And
I know he's
planning committee. He's done so much for the planning committee. I mean, granted, it comes down a lot of times to boots on the ground, like who is in that area. And he is, I don't know, he's probably an hour, maybe hour and a half from.
Yeah, he's
Milwaukee.
not far.
He's not too far away, but still, if you said, well, hey, Danny, can you drive an hour away and check out these things for us? I'll be like, yes, but I got to schedule it like in the next 3 days, or
right.
I don't know how to do that in one day. But Paul definitely is one of those guys from the very first time I met him was just willing to come help you,
Yeah.
So I'm glad he's on there.
Definitely. Nick Hargis is on here. Nick has been a huge help with the scholarship committee. I've worked with him for the past couple of years. This year, especially, he was a huge part of helping get prices figured out for flights for scholarship nominees and just other different elements in that way. And so he's just been integral with just helping set up travel in different areas like that.
And he has so many more skills that we haven't seen. Because I know Nick, we roomed together and we've been friends for a while. And I'm like, yeah, because I didn't ever suggest you should go get on the board, because that's really something I think he needed. Well, and I'm like, yes, I heard you're getting on the board. Let's go. Because I really want. He's got so much to offer, but I shouldn't be talking too many people up.
No, you're good. And then last but not least is Arvis Brackeen. Arvis, he just comes with a lot of gusto and just excitement and passion just for the organization and connecting with other stay-at-home dads. And I just see him as someone that's just excited to, give everything he has to, do what he can to help this organization forward. And so I'm excited that he was interested in being a nominee for the board. And I'm really just interested to see exactly what all he does for the organization if he gets voted on. But any of these guys are amazing. They all come with, like I said, a different tool, different resource to add to what's already become this, I feel like, just juggernaut of an organization that is just moving in such a way that it wasn't prior. So so that's the 7. They, like I said, you'll get to meet them all at the convention. And on top of that, there will be videos coming out. I think it'll be one succinct video of all of them talking about why it is that you should vote for them. And then I think what we'll probably do is take that, because since they're already putting the effort into it as far as doing it, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So I think we'll just take that video. I can convert it into an audio. And then for anybody who's like, I just can't sit and watch the video the entire time, we'll have it in podcast form so that everybody can get a chance to at least listen to what everybody says. And you can take some notes if you want to, so that way, but mainly get to know them and then hopefully get to meet them in person and get to see that side of them. But that's what we got for the beginning part of this show. We will take a break, and when we come back, we will have our special guest speaker, and we'll talk with them a little bit further. So we'll be right back. Become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support, connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. Hey everybody, welcome back. As we said before, we have a special guest with us tonight. This guest is going to be presenting at HomeDadCon in Milwaukee in September, and we're very excited to have her on and get to know her a little bit. And hopefully you two will get to find out some things about her that'll just make it that much more of a connection when she's up talking to everyone. So with that, Melissa Davidson, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great, Brock. How are you?
We're doing well. Doing
Good.
well. Just, another day in the life of being a stay-at-home dad and all that comes with it.
Brock doesn't know what being a stay-at-home dad is anymore. He's quit.
Oh my gosh, dude! I know.
No, I
what
don't
It's
hear
great
that.
yeah. He went and got a job outside of the home.
But my thing is though, in the summer, it's been stay-at-home dad life and work life all at the same
really
time.
never changes.
That's a big conversation right there.
Oh yeah, I'm walking around like spinning plates left and right, trying to keep them all from breaking, while also trying to keep my kids from not, tearing each other up. So
dropping their own plates. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And not hearing my wife yelling from the office, will you shut them up?
I'm on a call.
I'm on a call. Exactly.
I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Take them outside. It's raining. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell them it's a water park. But yeah, no, that I did. I took on a job as at working at a brewery as an event coordinator. So cool. It's been an interesting, juggle of my wife and I both working, and then also too like the kids being at home, but we're making it work. So, and I think there's a lot of the different dads that are in the same boat. Like, I mean, even from the standpoint of just like with the fact that you have more partners at home working at home, and that whole idea of like, this doorway is no entry kind of deal. Yeah. This does not exist. There,
right. We do not open this door.
Yeah. You step
when they
over
come
here,
out, they exist, but
yeah, exactly. Right. Laser beams. Da 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 da. Like, I'll slice you up, man. Just stay away from the door. Woo. Yeah. So, but no, other than that, it's life is good. So, but hey, curious, a little bit about who you are. What's your family dynamic like? If you wouldn't mind sharing that with us and the listeners.
Yeah, I would love to. So I have got I'm a married mom of two. I live in Northern Virginia, just outside of DC, and I have I have a 5-year-old daughter who is starting kindergarten in 2 weeks, which is super cool. And then my son is almost 10. He's going to be starting 4th grade. So I can totally relate with that. What are we doing to try and keep things together over the summer? And I mean, is it really like crazy that I know it's almost to the hour how many minutes it is until these kids are going to be in school? And I'm super excited because this will be the first time that I have both in the same place for the same number of hours a day. So I'm seeing like some major personal liberation in 14 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really excited about that.
I hope you have a nap planned. I just, I feel like That's the first thing everybody should do when their kids all finally get in school. Just the first day, 3 hours minimum, take a nap.
I like that. I like that. I had a tradition for a while with some girlfriends where we would go out to lunch that first day. And, it was kind of an anything goes lunch. So
yes,
exactly. Yep.
Yes.
We had actually, I think it was last year, my wife and I got kayaks and went out on the river. We dropped the kids off. Their school's right there off of the river, actually. And so we just drove, 3 or 4 miles up the way, put in, spent a couple hours on the river, got off, went and had lunch, and then picked up the kids from school. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good day.
So good. It's going to feel so good. I'm excited. So I was a full-time at-home mom after my son was born, and I did that for about 4 years. And I have to tell you, like, that wasn't even our plan. Our plan was that I was going to keep working full-time. My husband was going to work full-time. We were going to use care outside of the home. And then we had a really hard time conceiving. And so by the time I was actually pregnant, my feeling was we worked so hard to get this person here, and we're able to swing our logistics on one salary. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to be here and raise this little person. And my background is that I have a master's degree in early childhood education. So I actually worked in childcare before my son was born. Like it was a no-brainer. I was just going to bring him to one of the childcare centers that I was a manager for, and we were going to be good to go. And my view just totally changed. I used to have when I was younger, my view really was like, I just want to impact as many families as I can. I want to touch the lives of as many children as I can. And really I love childhood. I mean, I think it's such a magical time. And if I can bring some of that to other parents and other families, great. So I had like this really big picture view. And then when my son was born, I said, if my sphere of influence is down to 1, that is fine. That is my most important one. And I loved it. I was at home. We were doing great. And look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, you guys know all of the challenges that go with being the at-home parent, but I was happy. Until my son was 4 and we were trying to conceive our second. And again, a whole host of challenges to get to child number 2. And we really didn't know if it was going to happen. And at that point, I felt like I have to do something that's not in our home. My revelation came when it was a Saturday afternoon and we went to the grocery store and it was like super crowded. And I had a huge list, and my son was in the car. My husband was in the car. My son fell asleep. And I said to my husband, listen, I'm going to be in and out of that store in 30 minutes. Time me. And I came back out. I had every grocery. I was out. It was 29 minutes. And I was like, yes, I killed it. Yes. And then I had this moment where I was like, that's the thing I'm most proud of this week. And I wasn't really happy about that. Yeah, so that's when I started to find something. I started to look for something outside of our home. And so I can kind of relate to where you are, Brock, with having been the at-home parent and then making the shift and trying to continue to fit it. And I will say about our summer this summer, we have thread a very, very fine needle. My husband also works from home. I work from home. But if you looked at the calendar that we had to set up to make this summer work, we are scheduled like it's who's caring for the children at what hour of the day. And when today it was my time off was at 3:30 and it's 3:29. And I was like, okay, all right, come up from the office. It's my turn to get down.
We didn't say 3:31.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've had a job outside of the home. I've been the at-home parent. And there was a point. So after my son was born, that was when I decided I decided to start staying home, but it really dawned on me that what was important to me was to keep connected with families. And so that's where I started this parenting coaching practice. And my coaching practice is called Perceptive Parents. And I just, like I said before, I mean, parenting and family life is so important to me. And so to be able to talk with other parents, the 3 of us could probably sit and talk about different challenges and how we're working through them. I could do this all night. Yeah. It's a passion for sure. And so, if I'm able to connect with other parents and help them to feel more satisfied in their role as a parent, that's a win for me. and happier parents are happier kids. And that goes back to that whole piece I was saying before. I think childhood is just such a magical time. It can be, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. You think about back, most people can pick out different things about their childhood that they remember, that kind of deal. So yeah, definitely. Honestly, that's the one thing that my wife and I try to do. It seems like that's the same thing Danny and his wife try to do, is just, produce these moments that, hopefully their kids can look back on as memories that, like, oh, I remember when I did this or that. And so that's something that Danny and I talk about quite a bit on the show, is, the things that we are doing with our kids to try to produce that kind of stuff. Like, one of the things that I always bring up is the fact that my family did a cross country trip, after, like in the middle of COVID, basically, just to get out of where we were, and went on a huge camping road trip across the country for about 2 weeks. And so, like, my kids still bring that kind of stuff up. So I feel like you see that too a lot in the Discord group in the Discord server, in the Facebook group. Like, there are guys constantly sharing about the things that they are doing with their kids, and we love reading those stories. And it gives other guys ideas, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, or hey, how did you pull that off? It's another way to go about it.
And just prolonging that magic of childhood for as long as you can, just keeping it going. I mean, if you drive around and you see the round bales of hay, we live in pretty rural areas, so we'll see them, and a lot of times they'll wrap them in white plastic so that they won't rot. So they're marshmallows. And from the first, my oldest is 17, and we'll drive around and we'll be going, and I'm like, hey, look, marshmallows. And he'll look up, from his phone occasionally and go, marshmallows, and he's still there. He's still got the magic, but he doesn't want to admit he's got the magic, because he is 17 and becoming an adult, and he's ready to, move on and all that. And just that it's still there is so cool for me, because I feel like a lot of times what we miss out on in the day-to-day of our life, and then therefore the day-to-day of getting our kids up and ready, and like, he's driving and we're looking at colleges, and he's leaving soon, he's going out, and that's what you want, that's what you're looking for. That's, want to say, I have a strong, loving child, and they're now a strong, loving adult, and we can send them out. But keeping those little things that remind us, because I have things, I have a very, well, I'll just say it, I have a very childlike mind. I find joy in just everything, and I'm overjoyed about so many things, and being able to give that to your kids so that they can continue it, and they grow up into adults who can still find joy, even though they're still going to be stuck maybe in college for 4 years or however long, and then they're going to have to go to a job they're not really going to love, or maybe it's too hard for them, whatever. And this being an adult is just garbage a lot of times. But having that ability to give them that so that they can maintain it throughout their life, I feel, is a very, very valuable gift for them personally.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you, like we were talking about too, with just, having this like amazing childhood type thing. The person that came to mind to me was Shannon Carpenter and Mick. Like those guys are currently out with, like, I don't even know, like, I think there's like 12 of them now, and they've been doing this road trip for multiple years on end. These two dads, they have, I think there's 4 dads in total, who all their kids come together and they map out these like road trips where they're going to go to, like, the biggest ball of yarn, and they're going to go check out like these other unique places. And like I saw where they went to Indianapolis to the MD 500 museum, which is right there at the Speedway, which, like, that's my neck of the woods. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I remember going there when I was a kid. And just, you see like all these, like, and now they're mostly teenagers, honestly. I think all of them are. And it's just so neat to see these kids out running around with their dads, checking out all these things, because some of those people like are just getting their driver's license. There might even be a few like right on the cusp of actually like leaving to go off to college. So it's great that they've built that sort of relationship with all those kids, and they share it, and you get to see it, and it's really neat.
Yep. So I do want to talk more about perceptive parents. And I definitely want to talk about the title of your presentation is the importance of connection. And I think that's something that really for me personally, that's always been very important. And I think it's important for most at-home parents, definitely at-home dads, because one of the things Brock and I say a lot is we think really every parent needs a mentor, and in our case, a men's group, your support network, whatever that looks like. And it always comes down to community for me. I'm sure you're aware of it. When you get married, your friends sphere shrinks, and then you have kids and it gets even smaller. And when you become an at-home parent, it becomes much, much smaller. And for at-home dads, it becomes minuscule. I mean, you're a unicorn suddenly. You don't see anyone else out there like you. You go to the playground and it's all moms. They look at you funny. And that isolation is really detrimental to your mental health. And it really it'll lead on into depression, and a whole lot of other things. And I think connection for me, when I saw your presentation, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to hear that, because that sounds like something that's right in the zone that our members and our dads need to know more about. So I do want to just hear, I don't want to get too deep, of course, because we want people to come and they'll get the whole spiel there, but we would like to know a little bit more about what that means to you and the 4 C's that I read that and those are amazing. And if we could talk about that for a little bit, I'd love to.
Sure. Okay. So, gosh, I'm excited that you are excited about the presentation. And now I'm like, boy, I better make sure I turn that dial up.
You better. Yeah. Because some fat guy from Wisconsin is going to be watching. Yeah. Yeah. But I do think it'll be very beneficial for us. So, but go ahead.
Great,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. So, so I had this epiphany, back in the fall. I was awake in the middle of the night and I was really sweating what was going on at home. And I woke up and I thought, being a parent right this minute, because of some things that were going on at home, feels like such a chore. And it does not feel like a privilege right now. And I just started thinking about why does this feel like such a chore? What is going on? And it felt, I had this moment where I said, I'm not connecting with my husband. I'm not connecting with my kids. I don't really know why, but I need to dig a little bit deeper to figure out what's going on. Specifically, I think that day, my daughter was like just all up in my business. She just needed to be in my lap. She needed to be talking to me. She needed me someplace with her. And I kept saying, I'll be with you in a little bit. Mommy has something to do. Can you give me a few more minutes? Can you give me a few more minutes? And I had to remind myself, like, she's not misbehaving, right? She's just trying to get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized, like I said, all right, Melissa, you've got to give this child some attention. Sit down with her and just be with her. No interruptions, put the phone down. This is your time. What would you like to do together? And sure enough, it's not magic. I mean, she's another person and we all crave connection. I spent time with my daughter and things calmed down dramatically. And I just felt that magic of that connection. And it reminded me that being a mom to my daughter, Stella, and my son, Zachary, and having met this incredible partner, my husband, Brian, it is a privilege. And if I'm so steeped up and I'm so busy and I'm so stressed and I'm so miserable, I'm missing out. And so that kind of spurred that new initiative off for me, which is, I'm going to say it again, when parenting feels like more of a chore than a privilege, you are probably missing some connection. Now, I think what happens for a lot of at-home parents is we do so much invisible work, right? I mean, you're behind the scenes.
Yep.
I like to think of my job at home. So even though I do some paid work outside of the home, I'm still the primary care provider and I'm still the house manager. So, I think about my job is to make sure that the toilet paper is always where it's supposed to be and that there's soap in the shower and, these kind of routine things. And there are times where I'm fine with that. And there are times where I'm so agitated and I want somebody to notice. I want somebody, like I want a better performance review than my children being cranky,
yes.
right?
Yes.
I want somebody to say, my gosh, there truly is always hand soap at the sink. Thank you, Mom. And of course, right, that doesn't happen. Nobody,
that'd be great.
Nobody notices. So there's a lot of invisible work. Yeah. So I think when we do the invisible work, it's very easy to feel just like your self-esteem can really rot when you feel also not just that the work is invisible, but that your contribution is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that's where we have to dig deep for these connections. And so, Danny, I feel like your question really gets to connecting in a greater community. And
Mm-hmm.
some of my work is more focused on connecting within the family. And not that those community connections are not important, but I sure do feel better about picking up the clothes that the 10-year-old has left on the floor every night, right? It's in the morning. And instead of, when I feel connected to him, it's not that big of a deal for me to pick the clothes up off the floor. But my goodness, when we haven't had a good connection, he's pushed my last button, right? He's on my last nerve because I've had to pick those clothes up one more time. So, so the connections, it's what I find is it's easy for us to, when we feel disconnected, it's often because our buttons are being pushed. That gets to some of the values work. And that's some of what I'm hoping to bring to the presentation. When we're all together in Milwaukee, one of the things I really want to talk about is button pushing and values, and how our values are tied to what pushes our buttons. So, so some of that work, and learning your values and getting super clear about your values is part of that. My piece that I call the 4 C's for connection. You talked about that a little bit. So the 4 C's for connection are clarity, consistency, confidence, and compassion. And we'll talk in depth about those. That's a big part of the presentation, but they're good to know. And it starts with your values. You were talking about these memories that you're making with your kids, or the stories, the inspirational stories of these other families who are taking these great trips, these dads who are making these incredible investments in the experiences that their children are having to have this wonderful life. And a lot of that, right, it comes from what you value. The fact that you want to be home and give so much to your children says a lot about what you value, what you and your wife or your partner together value. That this feeling of family is so important. So a beginning exercise that I do with a lot of my coaching clients is just values work. And I have this tool that I use with my coaching clients that I call Choose Your Boundaries. And we start with just the fundamentals on your values. So it's a conversation starter activity, but I have, I think it's 20 values that are just down on cards. And they're things like respect and love and family, faith, education, honesty, those kinds of things. And I have people go ahead and rank those. So you arrange them from what's most important to what's least important. And my philosophy is, this is nothing new. I'm not a huge Stephen Covey fan, but I am a huge fan of begin with the end in mind. So I think when you're trying to show up to parenting in a mindful way, you need to know what are you aiming for? And so I love that we started talking this conversation. We were talking at the beginning about these memories that you're trying to make so that you are sending these children out into the world, being able to enjoy the little things in life and just making the most of things. So we transmit our values to our children just by virtue of the fact that we all live in the same house together. We're doing it. We don't even realize necessarily that we're doing it. Actions certainly mean more than our words in a lot of cases. But what I try to get people to do is come back to the basics. What are your values? Let's get really granular about it. Because that is the foundation for every decision you're going to make about what's important in your parenting. And that's also being really clear about what your values are, helps you be really clear about button pushing. So I want to use my own example. And I'm sure when I say this, you guys are going to be like, yes, I totally get this. So when my kids talk back to me, which seems to be happening a lot this summer, I feel super disrespected. And I'm pretty sure that my 5-year-old is not sitting around like, what am I going to do next? Really get under mommy's skin,
Are you sure of that? I don't know.
I have my fingers crossed.
Sorry.
Exactly. Yes.
Just the machinations. Yeah. But go on. I apologize.
Oh no, of course. So when they talk back to me, I feel disrespected. The truth is that's probably not their aim, right? They're probably not trying to disrespect me. And my job then is to kind of flip that script for myself, right? So respect is a huge value for me. I was raised in a house where respect was everything. Well, family was everything, and you respect your elders. And so I feel like I've done something really wrong when my kids are not respecting me, not listening to me, not following directions, talking back. And again, my job then is to remind myself, hey, there's a need in my child that's behind their behavior right now, and it's not about disrespecting me. So I need to flip that script, right? I need to tell myself a different story, that it's not I'm a bad parent because I can't even get my kids to respect me. That's not what's going on.
No,
there's something else there, but my buttons are pushed because that value of respect has been violated. Okay, so button pushing, and when our buttons are pushed, we clearly are feeling disconnected, right? If you're pushing my buttons, I don't want to be near you, I don't want to talk to you, and I need some space. Getting really clear though about what those values are for you and for your partner together is so critical. That's that clarity piece of my 4 C's. You're clear about what's important, and then you're clear about who are you trying to raise. Like, we don't have ultimate control about how the kids are going to turn out, right? They're individuals, they're going to do their thing, but we are laying a foundation. And I really, I work closely with my clients to help people think about where is it that they want their children to land. When our kids are little, we make all their decisions for them, right? And that is there are so many challenges to that, but that is I don't know, I think that in some ways is the easier time, because as we start to let go, you've got this 17-year-old who's getting ready to go off to college, who goes off and drives in a car, and you have to just have some faith that they're going to make good choices for themselves in your absence, right? And you've laid that foundation for 17 years since you began parenting. So that clarity about, well, what choices do we hope our kids are going to make when we're not around? Okay, so that's a second piece to this tool that I use, the choose your boundaries. You were talking about values. Now we're talking about choices. What choices are we hoping our kids are going to make? So I'm trying to think about what else I want to say about that without really blowing too much.
Going too far.
I think you bring up go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
No, Danny, go for it.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I think that what you're hitting on there with just the whole idea of like your kids making choices and things like that, like one of the, like, I don't know, I guess like values that, or something along those lines for me and my wife, is that we get a lot of times where we'll tell people like we're raising adults, not kids. Like, it's like, because we always get people like, well, how do you get them to like, do these chores without any issues or whatever? And it's like, we've spent the time to like show them like, this is all part of family and the things that we do to help contribute to everybody here in the house and that kind of thing. And, the hope is that as they continue to grow and then leave the house, is that they know how to take care of themselves and others around them without being like, oh, I don't know what to do in this situation. But just that whole idea of, not talking down to them, like talking just to them and, showing them how certain things work, and then also explaining those things in like, adult terms for the most part, honestly, so that they understand what's going on, has really been big for how we've raised how we're raising them. And so, I love what you're saying about that, because it falls right in line with what we're doing here at our house. What were you going to say, Danny?
I don't remember, but what I will say now is that, I really love the idea of finding your values, because it reminds me, there was a point I have 4 kids, so I've never been on top of anything completely. It's always, like a bear dancing on a ball kind of thing. But there was a point where someone asked me, well, what's most important to you about, cleaning your house in this case? I'm like, I just want the floors where I can walk. I just want the floors cleaned. I want them, you know, and they just looked at me and said, well, that's what you value about a clean house. Now, if there's stuff on the couch, is that going to bother you? I'm like, I mean, not really. I mean, like cushions out of place and blankets all. No, we're going to lay on the couch and play games or whatever. And that's just how it gets. He's like, well, what about the coffee table? Does it matter? And I'm like, well, there's always stuff on the coffee table. Either it's, you know, a pile of laundry, clean laundry, just not folded, or it's, you know, board games or books or whatever it is. And they, you know, so they basically got to, and they said, so as long if they picked up the floor and like vacuumed or mopped. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that would change my whole day. I mean, it would just be so amazing if I could get them to help me do that. And from then on, I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. I don't stress any of those things. I just want this thing. That's what's important to me. And that's just what came into my head when you were talking about values. And I love that because of things like you said, like respect, respect for your elders, respect for the family and things like that. The other things that you brought up, and I know we don't want to go too deep into it,
okay.
But it's very, very important, I think, to get those things in line and say, yeah, this needs to be top 5. These 5 things, if it's, you know, I don't know, honesty and playful banter and, you know, a clean floor. I mean, I don't know. That's not those, obviously they're not the ones you have listed, but those things that are so most important to you, that really just hits home with me and makes a lot of sense, that really just get on the same page, understand why it bothers you so much. You know, like you said, why does that push my button? Why do I care if the floor is not clean? This is not a good example, but you know, why do I care if they backtalk me? Oh, I'm a bad parent. And you're not, obviously, but that's the thought that you brought up. And I love that whole framework. And I can't wait, really. I'm very excited, obviously, to hear you speak and just really to kind of drill down into a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to offer that as an example of something that I ran into that really helped me to understand what you were saying. So
it's all about the showing up mindfully, showing up in an intentional way, because I think when we do mess up, which we do, and that's the compassion of the 4 C's. Your kids are going to mess up. I skipped over the consistency and the confidence, but we'll cover that. We'll cover that when we're together in Milwaukee. But that compassion has to do with, when my kids mess up, I'm not always going to flip out, because we're people. And when I mess up, that is just part of being a person. And I think if you're messing up a lot and you feel disconnected a lot, that's where you need to take a step back and you need to figure out, what is it going to take for me to show up in a way that I feel good about, in a way that when I put my head on the pillow at the end of the day, I'm going to say, I did a good enough job today, you know, and not berate myself for all the shoulds, what I should have done that I didn't do.
Yes.
All the laundry that didn't get folded. But it's clean, you know, that's good enough, that a lot of what we do is just good enough. And what I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do together is engage in some of these exercises and then give people enough information to take home so that they can do some of the exercises with their partner, because I think that's the other piece. It's great when you are clear, but are you and your wife, your partner, are you clear together on what is important? I had a really interesting experience with a couple who I coach, where we did this values exercise together. And so I told you I have these sets of cards, and I gave the husband a set and I gave the wife a set. And I said, okay, go ahead and arrange the cards. Do, you know, what's most important to what's least important. This is a couple who's been together for 20 years. And I've known them for a long time. They are in lockstep with one another on so many things. So they finish their sort and they go to look at each other's cards. And the wife was like, I can't believe that this is what you have as your top value. I'm quite surprised. And I talk about this being a conversation starter, because once there was curiosity and I kind of helped guide some of that curious questioning, tell us a little bit about how you arrived at this. It turns out that he was just calling his top value something different than what his wife was calling it. So like, if I say to you, respect is my number 1, what does that actually mean? What does respect actually mean? It's just a word until we start to define it. So the conversations are really important, that you get super granular. And again, that's that piece about clarity. How clear are we about what's important?
Well, that's the one nice thing about, you know, everybody that is a member of the organization gets access to the presentations afterwards. So definitely that opportunity for partners to be able to sit down together and watch the presentation and actually walk through that is definitely more available than than maybe some conferences have after post. So that's great, because it's something that I think my wife and I would definitely find value in, because I think there are times where she's like trying to figure out what my like what my value line is, and I'm like, there's times where I'm like, what, like, how are we not, like, we've been married for 16 years, like, but it's like, there's still like we've still discovered something different it seems like on a regular basis. And so yeah, like I that couple that you're talking about, I could completely understand, like, they're maybe not being full lockstep with, oh wait, that didn't make any sense, that, or how is that possible? So so that's great. And that's the thing too, where you get guys who, when somebody in like the Facebook, or especially Facebook, that they're not a member, and somebody brings up something that falls in line with, they're like, oh, like, I got to go hear this person speak at HomeDadCon, or like, they mention like how they got to watch or whatever, and someone's like, wait a minute, how can I get to that? And then we're all like, you could become a member. So that kind of thing. So yeah, it's all the different things that the speakers bring, like that is just another tool, resource for dads to be able to come across. So I'm right in the same boat as Danny, in the fashion of like, definitely excited to hear the full presentation. I think that attendees are going to definitely latch on to it, because I feel like it's a conversation that comes around a lot. Just, my partner and I, we're not meshing, like, things aren't right, like, what's going on? And you get guys throwing out all kinds of different ways to do it, but to actually have something to really look at that's got some substance to it, I think is going to be a huge positive for everybody.
Yeah. And what I really like too is, for in our group, we have a lot of men that are willing to be vulnerable. They're willing to say hard things, and it's wonderful. One of the things that you really are never allowed, I guess, to talk about as a parent is that you just hate this job. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm done. And that is something that happens. And we do get people that will come out and say that, and they always get a lot of encouragement and a lot of support, because it's something that I feel every parent hits at some point. The thing I never considered before I started reading some of your work and your write-up and whatever is job satisfaction. Like, job satisfaction, that doesn't have anything to do with my job. My job is just my job, and it's this way for 30 years. I don't know when my kids are ever going to get out of the house, and it's just, this is what my life's going to be for forever. There's no, I can make it better, but really it's not about if I enjoy it or not, because it's okay if I don't. There's no one that says, well, you're going to enjoy being a parent. Yeah, you are, but you're also going to hate it. There's going to be a lot of that give and take, and we're not really allowed to say those things. And I really love that you're bringing in that part of it. We do see this as a job, just like a job anywhere else. This is my career, being an at-home dad, and that's all I'll probably ever do. And being able to look at it and say, well, am I doing a good job, but am I enjoying my job? Am I satisfied with what's going on today? And like you said, the invisible labor that we do so often, like, okay, well then today I'm not going to do anything. And tonight we'll see how many things Dad does every day that we need to say, oh, wow. Okay. How can I say thank you enough? Right. But I love that you bring that into that thread into your presentation and to our members, because I think that's something that we really, as parents across the board, all need to kind of understand that, yeah, you're allowed to look at this and say, okay, this isn't balanced. This isn't where I want it to be. I don't have healthy boundaries in this place or that place. And what do I need to do to be satisfied with my job? So I'm looking forward to that personally.
Well, I'm looking forward to sharing that. I do. It is a job. Anybody who says it's not a job has never done it.
Never dies.
And it's totally fine. We all have days that just stink. We just have days where you do want to throw in the towel. I actually used the word resign last weekend.
Same.
I said to my husband, I just don't think I was cut out for this job. And I have to tell you both, this was my dream. Like, my dream more than being married was to be a mother. And now here I am, I'm living the dream. And guess what? It's not awesome
it's
all the
terrible
time.
sometimes.
However, when there are those incredible moments like today, when we went over to the kindergarten orientation over at my daughter's school, and my son was walking her around the school and showing her different things, I was like, oh, my parent heart is so full right now. Look at those two humans. And I think, I can't take credit for all of it, but I think we're doing something right. When I can see one of my children show so much kindness to my other child and have the second child just think, oh my gosh, how lucky am I? I mean, my daughter thinks my son hung the moon. We'll see how long that lasts. For now, she's at that really sweet age that's the case. But those moments, like, we have to look for those. And those are the moments that really sustain us through the grind, because we all know that stuff is going to hit the fan. It will at any moment. This is just part of our job. And we need to look for those good moments to sustain us through the more difficult things. And that's, again, that's that whole piece about connection. And that's what helps you to show up on the days where it's a grind, knowing that you are likely to have another good moment. It's probably not that far off.
Yeah, like this is the last year where my kids will be in the same like section of the school, because my 10-year-old is going into 5th grade, and my youngest is going into 2nd grade. And so it's like they'd always been able to really like see each other on a regular basis, and this will be the last year that like they're going to come across each other quite a bit. So but they the same type of deal though. Like, I remember when my daughter went into kindergarten, my son wanted to show her around the whole school and everything. And and to this day, like, they still, like, they're usually like 2 peas in a pod running around the school together. So, but yeah, that's one of the things that my parent heart gets filled pretty pretty quick on that as well. So
it's okay if you cry, Brock.
Oh, you leave me alone.
You can.
I'm fine. I'm good. No, I'll cry when they go back to school, because then it's only for the fact that it'll be quiet in this house.
I almost cried just with you two telling the story. Like,
I know it, right?
These are what babies do.
I'm going to make sure that when I'm asked what supplies I need, I'm going to make sure that I say tissues. I want tissues on every table. How about that? And we can call my presentation a success if we can see a tear just come down. I'll say 50% of the members' faces if we can get.
I don't think you'll have a problem with that at all. We got a bunch of we got a bunch of teddy bears. It's not that I could see that happening for sure. We'll be like, Melissa Davidson's presentation sponsored by Kleenex.
Yes. I'm in.
Oh shoot. Well, definitely looking forward to getting to meet you in person here in just a few short weeks, honestly, which is exciting. Everybody's definitely getting ramped up for it. That's one of the things we were talking about before you came on, is just the fact that there's a lot of excitement built into the weekend with everything going on. So this presentation will definitely just be right up there with everything else that's going on with excitement wise. So I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight and being able to share what you're going to be presenting on, and then us getting to hear the full presentation in Milwaukee. So but yeah, like, are there ways for our listeners to be able to maybe connect with you prior to Milwaukee that they should know about?
Sure. So I'd head over to the website, which is perceptiveparents.com. And there is a way to connect from there to shoot me an email. And I'm pretty quickly responsive on those emails. That would be the fastest. So yeah, website.
Awesome. Great. I'll make sure that gets put in the show notes, and
Awesome.
that'll give everybody a chance to be able to connect with you that way. But yeah, looking forward to meeting you here soon, and hope you have a safe trip, and everything goes well with school starting up, especially kindergartner. You might need some Kleenexes for that first day. I know that me and my wife did as well, because sending that last one off to school and all of the emotion involved with that. So, but yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to meet you guys too.
Definitely. All right. Well, until next week, y'all have a good one. Talk to you later.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.